I started playing Dungeons & Dragons when I was 5.
Gary Gygax was a huge influence on my life.
The story behind the game lived on.
Travel to forests, jungles, lakes, oceans.
He's inspired generations to be creative and play a game that's
It's almost impossible to exaggerate his impact.
I can honestly say that Gary Gygax has changed my life.
I just want to say how saddened I was to learn of Gary's death. I can't really estimate how great of an influence he had in my life other than to say it was enormous. Pretty much all my friends in my entire career I owe to Gary for D&D. I remember being a kid and buying his modules, and I was so struck by how fantastic they were. They were just something I had never seen or imagined before. I used to make my own modules using the same trade dress that Gary used, going so far as to writing by Gary Gygax on every one of them. Thank you, Gary, for the life that I have, and we'll miss you.
When I think of Gary Gygax, I think of the millions of people that he's touched. He's inspired generations to be creative and play a game that they love, and he's inspired me and touched my life in a way that I'm allowed to, do something that I love for a profession, and he's going to be missed.
Thinking about Gary Gygax and spending the last 24 hours looking at all the nice things that people wrote about him on the message boards and in news articles. It's pretty obvious Gary rocked all our worlds. His impact on gaming, on popular culture, and on multiple generations of people is incredibly profound. And I just want to say thanks, Gary, for enriching my life and the lives of millions of gamers around the world.
I never had the pleasure to meet Gary Gygax, but he was certainly a major influence on my life. When I was growing up, D&D was a phenomenally important game to myself. And as a very shy, introverted kid, it did wonders to draw me out of my shell, and I still enjoy playing it today. I just wanted to express my condolences to the Gygax family and to say thank you to Gary for such a wonderful game.
I have to say that with all the imagination that goes into this game, that I really can't imagine what this world would have been like without it.
Gary's legacy is one that many of us, most of us, can only dream of. He has inspired many people. He has touched the lives of people over the course of 30 years. I am honored to be among the people whose lives he has touched and changed for the better. Gary, you will be missed.
As a 10-year-old boy living in the Mojave Desert, Gary Gygax allowed me to travel to forests, jungles, lakes, oceans, dark caverns that I never would have been able to go to living and doing where I was. I'm going to miss you, Gary.
If you ever picked a class and a race for your character, Gary was your guy. If you ever had hit points, Gary was your guy. If you ever killed a monster and took his stuff, Gary was your guy. If you ever had experience points that got you a level, Gary was your guy. But beyond that, if you ever had a game where the story behind the game lived on after the game was over and picked up in the next time you played the game, that was Gary. If you ever played a game where you and your friends got together to play the game on the same team rather than against each other, that was Gary. Cooperative gaming pretty much didn't happen before Dungeons & Dragons. Like I said, impossible to exaggerate his impact. Thanks a lot, Gary.
My job is to find new people to play D&D and to get infected with the spirit of it. We'll miss you, Gary.
Gary Gygax was a huge influence on my life, and I can truthfully say that things would have been very different had he not put pen to paper. He will be dearly missed.